Everyone, today we have readings from two different chapters. See if you can notice the issue that comes up. Saul said to his servants, "Find me a good musician and bring him to me." And the servants responded, "I know that one of Jesse's sons from Bethlehem is a good musician. He's a strong man and heroic, a warrior who speaks well and is good looking too. The Lord is with him." So Saul sent messengers to Jesse to say, "Send me your son David, the one who keeps the sheep." And later Saul sent a message to Jesse, "Please allow David to remain in my service because I am pleased with him." And then from the next chapter. Now when Saul saw David go out to meet the Philistine, he asked Abner, the general, "Abner, whose son is this boy?" "As surely as you live, your majesty, I don't know," Abner answered. "Well, then find out whose son this young man is," the king replied. So when David came back from killing the Philistine, Abner sent for him and presented him to Saul. The Philistine's head was still in David's hand. And Saul said to him, "Whose son are you, my boy?" "I am the son of your servant Jesse from Bethlehem," David answered. So in one chapter, Saul hires David, and he seems to really like him. And in the next chapter, Saul has no idea who he is. And in both chapters, the idea that he is Jesse's son comes up pretty prominently. So how do we explain this? Well, I can think of three options. The first is to just ignore these inconsistencies. Right? That actually is the most common way that our brains handle information that doesn't really fit. Even if it's not the best, it's just what we do. The second way that we deal with it is we try and harmonize them somehow, right? So for example, people might say, well, Saul is crazy, and so he just forgot that he already had met David. But these kind of answers actually just create a lot more questions, right? Why would his general lie to his face like this when he has no reason to? Did his father not let him stay like the king had directly asked him to? And if, as it says in the previous chapter, David is Saul's armor bearer, shouldn't he have already been with Saul at this battle in the first place? So a third option is to recognize that these are just different traditions that are woven together. They're edited by somebody who didn't want to leave anything out. And lining up the details is not their main goal. The answer that we're going to go with depends on what we think Scripture is and how we think Scripture works, or how we think it has to work. I think a lot of us typically have gone with the second answer, right? Harmonization, or even ignoring them, the first answer, because of a commitment to a modernist idea like inerrancy, right? If it's inspired by God, it has to work this way. It has to be consistent. Maybe we're trying to resolve a problem that we've created ourselves. We should base our definition of inspiration, our understanding of what the Bible is, on what the Bible is actually doing, not how we think it should work. So we have two different accounts of David meeting Saul. We have two creation stories. We have four accounts of the resurrection of Jesus. These differences were not a problem for ancient people of faith, so maybe they shouldn't be a problem for us either.